Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of voice of the radio. So today, we've got Raichu V, and quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it is about gosh darn time we got a Raichu V. Do you have any idea how many different Pikachu V we've had? I'm going to be honest with you, it's like 8 or something ridiculous. Plus, of course, we've also had Flying Pikachu V and Surfing Pikachu V. It's quite ridiculous, frankly, how many different Pikachu V we've had. Now, we finally get Raichu V. And I'll be honest with you, even bearing in mind how many different Pikachu V we've had, none of them get me as excited as this one single Raichu V, and that makes it absolutely worth having a good old chat about. Of course, our translation here does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, but I'm going to be honest, I'm assuming by now you've probably figured that one out. So, what have we actually got here? Well, in terms of HP, we are coming in and rocking 200, which is on the lower end for a Pokemon V, there's no way around it. We do have a nice low retreat cost of 1, and we do have a weakness to fighting, and fighting decks aren't great at the moment, but it is worth pointing out that we've always got Galarian Zapdos just kind of sitting there waiting, so if we ever end up in a situation where this is actually good, Galarian Zapdos could potentially become a pretty good counter for it. Now, the first attack is not particularly exciting. We got 1 lightning energy. If you go first, you may use this attack during your first turn. Search your deck for a lightning energy and attach it to this Pokemon. And this isn't a particularly good attack, but it's fine. Essentially, you are accelerating an energy. And I've often said I don't like these attacks, and the reason is very simple, because essentially you use your turn, your attack, to attach an energy to your active Pokemon, and then you sit in the active and let your opponent have a free hit on your Pokemon with which you just didn't do any damage. It's not exactly a recipe for overwhelming success. But I do very much appreciate the fact that you can use this on your first turn going first. Of course, nowadays we've got the rules, no supporters turn 1 going first, no attack turn 1 going first. Your options are severely limited, so what you essentially get to do here is just, well, have things a little bit easier. Go first, turn 1, I've not really got much to do. You know what? I'll accelerate an energy. Is it your perfect turn 1? No! No one's saying for a second that it is. Is it better than passing without attacking? I mean, most of the time, yeah. There'll be those games you don't want to leave Raichu in the active because you don't want it to take a hit. In that situation, then get it out the active. Otherwise, leave it in the active, accelerate an energy, it could be worse. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is not the reason I've run to my computer to make an excited video about Raichu today. No, that's because of the second attack. And the second attack, well, this one's got a chance. It's also going to sound pretty gosh darned familiar. What it does is, for 2 lightning energy minimum, it does 60 damage. For each lightning energy you discard, and you can discard any amount of lightning energy from your Pokemon. Not from this Pokemon, and that is a gigantic distinction. It is any lightning energy from your Pokemon. And what that means is multiple things. It means you can accelerate energy to your bench Pokemon and not have to worry about it. It means you don't have to discard the energy from Raichu, so that you can attack with the same one multiple turns in a row, or you can discard the energy from Raichu, knowing that you've got another one on your bench ready to come active and start attacking next turn. The fact that you can discard it from any of your Pokemon is absolutely brilliant, and by now, a bunch of you are probably thinking, well, hang on a second, Wassy, that sounds a little bit familiar. It's Blacephalon. Except it's better than Blacephalon. Because you see, Blacephalon Gx, and let's not forget, Blacephalon Gx was a top deck for a very long time. It was a phenomenal deck and a phenomenal card that saw a huge amount of play and won a huge amount of tournaments. No way around it, Blacephalon was great. Well, this is better than Blacephalon in 2 very important ways. Number 1, you're doing 60 damage for each energy, not 50. Secondly, you are discarding the energy rather than putting it into the lost zone, and that again is a beautiful, beautiful thing. because when energy goes into the lost zone, it's gone, you can't get it back. So there comes a point where you've actually lost zone too much energy and you basically lose the game. Here, that's not an issue. Here, the energy gets discarded and you can get it back. And that's better. So on the face of it, right, before we look at support cards, and obviously support cards are important, I'm not pretending for a second they aren't. But just comparing the cards side by side, Raichu is better than Blacephalon. The issue then becomes, does it have the same support? Because Blacephalon had Welder, which let you attach 2 fire energy from your hand to your Pokemon and draw cards, which was awesome. And it had B-String. Now, B-String was a little bit of a weird one, because it didn't always work. You had to have your opponent with exactly 3 or 4 prize cards remaining, but then you got to search for 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts, which of course included Blacephalon. So the combination of those cards really did mean that there would be turns you could go full on nuts with Blacephalon. Okay, what does Raichu have? And the answer is Flaffy. Now, there are some other not-so-good options, we'll get to them in a moment, but the answer straight off the bat is Raichu's got Flaffy. And Flaffy's one of those cards we've seen many times before. It's electric, and essentially you get to attach an energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. And that is actually particularly good because remember, Raichu can discard the energy from any Pokemon, it doesn't have to be from Raichu. Which means there's no accelerate energy and then get it onto Raichu. There's no get to the bench, accelerate energy and get back into the active like there is with some other Pokemon. The only thing you need to do here is just use the ability. And then the energy is on the correct Pokemon, and then you discard it from there and you just go nuts. And this builds up very quickly. You know, 1 energy, 60 damage, that's getting rid of a bunch of basics. 2 energy, 120, that's pretty much any single prize Pokemon. Not all of them, but the vast majority. 3 energy, 180, there's your Crobat and your Kricketune, your lower HP support Pokemon. 4 energy is 240, and then you're getting up to pretty much any Pokemon V. But that's where we can start getting silly. 6 energy, 360, and sure, that's quite a lot, I'll grant you, but that's a one-hit KO on any Pokemon VMAX for 3 prizes. And one of the things we have in the game at the moment is the VMAXs are very difficult to KO. The classic situation at the moment is having a bunch of Pokemon that get one-hit KOs on Pokemon V and 2-hit KOs on VMAXs. That is where most of the VMAXs sit. Okay, 6 energy is a lot, and I'm not pretending it isn't, but man, this is awesome if you can get the energy on. The problem is, for a while we've had Flaffy Rayquaza. Rayquaza discards any amount of lightning energy from this Pokemon, 20 base plus 80 more for each one you discarded. Now obviously Rayquaza's damage output starts much higher and it really gets high very quickly. The problem with Rayquaza is it's got to be the energy on Rayquaza, and obviously that's a bit of a problem. The huge advantage that we see with Raichu here is that you can be discarding energy from your benched Pokemon in order to do the damage, and that's absolutely huge. Plus 2 prize Pokemon, not 3 prize Pokemon, that can be kind of relevant. And that's going to be the big question for me, whether Raichu Flaffy can be good. Because with things like Rapid Strike Urshifu running around, things like Inteleon running around, and no real bench protection at the moment, we do see a format which is quite hostile to bench sitters like Flaffy at the moment, and Flaffy decks are really struggling to get a hold in the metagame. If you can get them in, though, I really do think this has a chance. We've got other less reliable ways to accelerate energy. Things like Turbo Patch are still in the format, but we've lost stuff like Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko would be amazing here. But Tapu Koko's gone. And I hate to break it to you, ladies and gentlemen, but Tapu Koko's not coming back. So really here it's whether you can have your Flaffy survive on the bench. But cards like Raichu, we need to remember it's not just about now. If we ever get a reliable source of lightning energy, acceleration, Raichu is going to become one of the best options for it. Rayquaza is always going to be there, Rayquaza is always going to be good, but as a basic Pokemon, Raichu is a phenomenal option. Just looking at the cards side by side, it's better than Blacephalon Gx, objectively speaking. More HP, more damage, don't have to lost zone the energy. It is a better card. But Blacephalon had the kind of support, and I'm not sure that Raichu is at that level yet, but I want it to be. As a side note, is it going to be getting a VMAX? We know for a fact it is not getting a VMAX in Brilliant Stars, or Starbirth in Japan. This is going to be in Brilliant Stars, Starbirth in Japan, because we know that there are 4 V-Star, we know that for a fact it's been announced, and we know what the 4 of them are. Arceus, Charizard, Shaman, and Whimsicott, so we know for a fact it's not getting a V-Star. Maybe it does down the line, we've seen that happen, that Pokemon get V-Star later, but that is very much the exception rather than the rule, so don't be seeing this as a Pokemon that's getting a V-Star later. Maybe it will, it's possible. But this is a Pokemon that needs to stand on its own, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I think it can. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. And the only reason I'm giving it 4 Wassies is because I'm not sure how reliable Flaffy decks are at the moment, and if this doesn't work with Flaffy, I'm not sure it works with anything. But there is so much potential here. If this doesn't end up being a good card, it is going to be because it never got the support of something like a Blacephalon, not because it's not a good card, because oh my goodness, the potential here is absolutely huge. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.